Hello, whiskey folk. How are we all? Wonderful, wonderful to see so many of you waiting at the pub doors tonight. That's got to be a new record. 89 of you waiting at the door, kicking in the door before anything has even started. Could it be maybe that it's because I'm giving away some whiskey tonight? Perhaps. It's wonderful to see you all here. Welcoming everybody. Say hello in the chat, especially if it's your first time. Let us know where you're from and what you're sipping, please. And chat to the super friendly folks that are already in there and have been in there for some time in the lounge talking to each other. Welcome, everybody. January 31st, last live stream of January, of course. Managed to squeeze in 3 this month, 2 middle ones, of course, with it being a 5 Thursday month. And the theme tonight is kind of, I'm quite excited that there's already over 100 of you in, because the theme is kind of about this thing. I think the reason that everybody's here is for sharing. I think it's for sharing whiskey. I think it's the sense of community or fellowship or whatever you want to call it. But just that idea that just that little pocket of time that people can get together wherever you are. You know, some of you will be sitting in a nice armchair. Some of you will be sitting out on a breakfast patio because you're in Australia in the bacon heat or something. Some of you will be in a bath. I don't know. You'll be all over the place. But with a tablet, phone, or laptop screen in front of you, you can literally be anywhere. Some of you are even watching this on the TV, right? And it just means that you can have that little pocket of time just to relax a little bit and hang out with like-minded whiskey folk for a bit of a shared experience. Yes, there is a giveaway tonight. I'm completely blown away by the participation, by the engagement that idea I had about giving away some of the heels from the last recycled review that went out a couple of nights ago. Gave me a logistical nightmare. The admin behind it was a disaster. My wife and I were up very, very late last night compiling all the entries. I had to close it early. I don't think I could have coped with any more entries in. And I will do that giveaway, and I will draw that giveaway early in the show. And the reason for that is I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that don't really invest the 2 hours in these live streams normally, but have maybe come along to see if they've been lucky in their entry to try and get their hands on these 9 drams I was giving away. So after I've welcomed everybody in and given a kind of overview of what I think the theme and the topics will be tonight, I'll draw that nice and early, and anybody that kind of wants to go off and do their own thing afterwards are welcome to do so. Fantastic. I've just had a virtual dram in already nice and early from my friend Matthias, caskmate, fantastic, over in Denmark. He's said your generosity and hospitality. Cheers, buddy. No, to your generosity, Matthias. Thank you so, so much. Well done. When are we going to see more videos from you, my friend? Cheers, Matthias. Thank you for your virtual dram. Okay, I'm just going to shout out some of the real early birds that were in. When I talk about this shared experience, I often joke that, I don't really need to be here, right? It's just, you guys are quite happy talking to each other and hanging out by yourselves. That's proven by the fact that, there are people in chatting hours and hours before go live. The chat room is open and people can just come in and hang out if they've got nothing else on, and talk to other whiskey folk in this lounge. It's open before the vPub doors are open, and it stays open for a few minutes until they shut, until YouTube takes the chat away from us afterwards. It's really, really quite a cool phenomenon. And I want to shout out just some of the people that were in nice and early. When I started to boot things up just after 9 o'clock tonight, we already had chatting in there. There were a bunch of people, I'm sure, but after a while it kind of cuts off who was chatting. We had the Whiskey Bowman in nice and early. Good to see you, my friend. Art Baggy, Andy, you're always in. Fantastic to see you. Good to hear that you're feeling a wee bit better and you're on the mend. Ross Fudd was in. Good to see you, Ross. Daniel Vermas from Hungary. Wonderful, Daniel. Thank you. Stephen Davison was also in. Whiskey Geek Ben and Caskmate Matthias, who's just bought me that virtual dram. All of these guys and so many, many more, and nice and early, hanging out and chatting to each other. Fantastic stuff. That kind of sense of community, that sense of sharing whiskey, because it's just a fantastic thing to share, right? Let's say a quick hello. Let's go to the latest comments and just welcome in a few more of you before I get on and draw this this giveaway. And I'll take you through what kind of motivated me to do that as well. The whiskey drama is in, fantastic. Andy Garbage Muncher, fantastic name. You're entered, obviously, Andy, and my wife and I were laughing at your handle last night. Toby Field is in, fantastic. Toby, good to see you. Troy is in, Troy Forch. He's saying hello from Iowa. Hello from Iowa. Hello, Iowa from Glasgow. Nice to have you, Troy. Jason Whiskey Wise is in. You star. Jason's always in here looking after me, despite him having a very, very busy and active whiskey life himself and a super busy YouTube channel. He comes in here for these vPubs and looks after me and looks after you guys as well. Wonderful guy. Check him out. Check out his channel. I'm sure you know Jason. Sid Martin is in. Great to see you, Sid. I noticed, I think it was you that spotted the leak on the batch 2 coins. I noticed that you'd liked that Instagram leaked post before I'd got there, Sid. I'll talk about that a wee bit later in the stream as well. Brian is in, Brian Calfee, that's a new name. He's saying, Eustis, Florida here with a dram of Peat Monster. Cracking dram. Fantastic to welcome you in, Brian. I hope you stay a while. Wonderful to see you. Thomas S is in. Good to see you back again, Thomas. He's saying greetings. Mark Padley is in. Good to see you. I'm glad you've joined in too, Mark. The Rock Gut Review is in. Good to see you. Jez Batty's in, great to have you back, Jez. Adrian Bell, Gordon Dramsey, Prestige Liquids, Andrew, Kenneth Kennelty, Keith Corbett, Marcus Kreitner, Simon Ray, Matthew Harris, Whiskey Niche, good to see you in, Whiskey Niche. John Paul Vanderhoven. Have you changed your handle there, John Paul? You signed in a different account. I'm sure it's the same guy. Wonderful to have you back again. Great to see you in. Whiskey Scout is in. Wonderful, Robert. Fantastic to have you. I caught your video this week where you finally opened up and poured and sipped that dram I'd sent you. What one was it now? Was it the Hazelburn Oloroso? I think I just threw that away in the most recent recycled review, didn't I? So fantastic. 203 of you in already. I should really just get on with this giveaway and put everyone out their misery to see if they've got these. The idea was behind this giveaway is that I was trying to think about giveaways that I could do, because February coming up next month from tomorrow is my 2 years on YouTube. It's the 2 years anniversary of the channel, and that's not really that big a deal, but I thought, well, it might be nice to mark it in some way. It's certainly gone past very, very quickly for me in so many ways. So I was trying to think about ways to do it, and trying to think about ways to make this fun and easy at the same time, because they can be really, really difficult to manage. Let me just pull up my direct messages from my friend Jason, make sure I'm not missing anything. I've got you, Jason. I've got you on the direct messages. Thank you, my friend. So I decided that after some feedback on the recycled reviews, there was lots of comments saying, we really enjoy these reviews, we enjoy your feedback and things and the little snippets here and there, but so many of these bottles are out of our reach. Perhaps because of price, perhaps because of availability, distribution, limited runs, single casks, maybe sometimes that kind of thing. And, you know, that's fair comment. And if my channel is founded on the concept of sharing whiskey, then it just kind of makes sense that I can kind of occasionally come up with ways that I could potentially share the whiskey that I'm already sharing with you in terms of opinion and appraisal and that kind of thing. So somebody was kind of pushing for recycled reviews, and I get a lot of that. And I finally decided, you know, the bottles that I've got earmarked for the next recycled review, a lot of them only have a little bit left, a heel left in a bottle. So I finished them off. I finished them off with some friends, but I was sure as they were being finished off to fill up one or two little sample bottles. And the idea being, now there's only 9 here because out of the 15 or 16 that were thrown away in the last recycled review, some were already bone dry and empty. But of the 9 that had something in it, I squirreled away a little something that I could use for a giveaway. And some of these are really nice whiskies. And I'm kind of going to go through them with you now and let you know what samples they are in the order that I would sip them in a flight. Now, of course, there's 9 of them, and I'd really recommend that you be very, very careful if you're going to sit down to a flight of 9 whiskies. But I've kind of had a very brief think about it, and I'll run through in that order and see what you think. Let's see, any comments I'm missing. Welsh Choro, he didn't mention me. I'm Welsh. I always look out for you, my friend. But there's another user in that's got an icon that's very, very similar to yours. That little comforting icon that you have of the Spanish bull with the red circle in the background. Stephen Davison has a very similar icon to you. And I sometimes catch Stephen and think it's you, especially at this distance on the screen here. Welsh, it's always wonderful to have you in, my friend. It's good to have you back. So let me take you through these 9 samples and let you know what they are. The first one here is the Little Mill. You might remember I threw away a Little Mill. So this is a cool little sample to have because this is a little bottle of history. This is a distillery that was shuttered in 1992 and it never produced again. I think it was eventually closed for good in 93, 94 something. And then, of course, it was finally destroyed in the late 90s. I think it was destroyed by a fire. So Little Mill is gone, and despite the brand being owned by Loch Lomond Group now, I don't think it's shown any signs of being revived. So you've got a 1991 Little Mill there to start off your flight. Really quite a rare thing. But what I would recommend maybe before you start that Little Mill is I've put this second in the flight because I think that there's a little bit more weight, more depth to this Glenlivet 12. The Little Mill is very light and crisp. I think maybe if you had the Glenlivet first as a kind of a flight starter, a calibrator, it's only 40%, then you might be able to, this might work quite well in bringing out some of the nuances and some of the lighter characters inside that Little Mill. Matt Wally is in. Good to see you, Matt Wally. I see you've just said good evening there. Whiskey Bowman, I've already mentioned you saying, I think a flight of 9 might kill me these days. Well, it doesn't. It's not a question of how many, it's a question of how much, right? And if you're just having little tasters, you know, a few teaspoons of each, you could probably do 9, no problem. I know at the Whiskey Club, we've had nights that we've managed to go back for top-ups and things. And I've easily had 9 drams on a Tuesday night at the Whiskey Club. As long as you're pacing yourself out, lots of conversation, lots of water, and don't be tempted to use beer or something like that to quench your thirst. Use water instead. You can, for me anyway, I still manage to get through it okay. But I think it's a good point. 9 is a lot. Next up, I would go for something like this Balblair. This is the hand-filled Balblair. I've already shared my comments on it and what I thought about it. Loved this whiskey, very, very honeyed, almost like a baked honeycomb type flavour, nice and sweet. 52.8%, 1997 bottle, 2016. I hand-filled this myself. It was a delicious whiskey. You're not going to be able to get your hands on that easy, obviously being a single cask. Then I've got the Halen Park 18-year-old. I'm going to talk about this because I was a bit hard on Halen Park 18, and then this bottle, I feel deservedly so. But somebody else is going to get a sample of this and see what they think about it. And it might be someone that's already got Halen Park 18 at home or on the go. That would be interesting to get a comparison, because I'm sure this was just a lesser batch. It got better towards the end of the bottle, but it wasn't one I loved. Laddie is saying hello, good to see you as well. I'm very well. Ross Fudd is saying I like the recycled reviews. They certainly seem to be going down very, very well, Ross. I mean, that last one was 3,500 views in the first day. I've never seen traffic like that before. I'm sure it's got a lot to do with that giveaway as well. But it's really nice, you know, the people that view it in the first 24, 48, 36 hours, that's kind of your core community. That's your core viewership that's viewing it there. And it's really nice during that period to get lots of nice feedback and people that are grateful that you're making videos, which is just a fantastic dynamic. Then next up, Springbank 15, just a standard official bottling of the Springbank 15 at 46%. Can be a divisive whiskey, Springbank, but most of the circles that I frequent absolutely adore Springbank. And this 15-year-old was a wee bit claustrophobic and tight at first, but it didn't take long to start to express itself, and I loved every single dram I poured from this bottle. Then next up would be the Hazelburn Oloroso. Lots of chatter about this. This was a limited edition from Springbank, the Hazelburn Oloroso. It was about 9,000 bottles, so it was fairly widely distributed across the globe. Lots of people got their hands on this. Very different take on Hazelburn. Quite bold, quite spicy, sulfur, but not, if you're sensitive to sulfur and you hated it, you would pick up lots of sulfur in that, I think. But I feel it was quite a nice sulfur, if that makes sense. It gave it quite a nice, healthy weight or grip to the dram. I enjoyed it very much. Glenfarclas, or as I've written here, Glenfraclas. Getting a bit dyslexic in my old age. Yeah, a typo there. I may fix the label because I'm just uptight like that, or I might just let it go out with a spelling mistake on it, since, you know, it doesn't really matter too much. But this was amazing. Whoever gets these samples, I would love to get feedback on what you think of some of these samples that I'm sharing. Then, of course, second from last, I would recommend that you can hit the peated at that point. This is the long row red Cabernet Franc. Eric Waite picked me up on my pronunciation. Cab Franc, I would say, Cabernet Franc, but I know it's French, so it would be Franc or whatever. But this was a fantastic whiskey, delicious, absolutely delicious. But in my memory, I'm still pining for that first hit I had with Long Row Red, and that was the Malbec, the 13-year-old. And in my head, the Malbec is a wee bit better, but I don't think, in fact, I'm certain I've never actually compared this Cab Franc with any other Long Row Red. And finally, really one of my whiskies of the decade, not in terms of class or elegance or complexity even, not in terms of quality even, but as an event whiskey, it's just absolutely, it would stop traffic. It's amazing. It's that powerful, powerful peat, because the Moynia is Bunnahabhain's. I've mentioned what it is yet. It's the Bunnahabhain Moynia Oloroso, in case you hadn't worked it out. It's their heavily peated spirit. And then this is 60.1% cask strength from an Oloroso sherry cask, or Oloroso sherry casks. This was a 2017 release, and it's just, you need to take your time with it. It's very intimidating. It's powerful. It's an extreme example of the style. But wow, it's just, you can pour this, what's in this bottle you could pour, and it would get you through more than a long movie. You could just sit with it, sip by sip by sip, and play with it a little bit, putting a few drops of water in here and there. So there we go. 247 of you in. That's the lineup. It's going in a single package, and it will go to a single winner. And I think that's a wee bit of a shame in some respects, isn't it? Because the competition got so much interest and engagement. There were so many entries. Let me tell you how many entries are in. And I'm going to share the screen to let you see that. I'm going to keep this. Everything will be legitimate and above board. There's nothing I can do to control who's going to win this. I'll feel very, very bad for so many of you that I know would love to try these whiskies. But let me do a quick screen share and let me show you the numbers that we're talking about in the spreadsheet. And I hope this works. I hope you can see that now. So if I start to drive that, we have 855 entries there. So if I just highlight all of these now, just take the last one, highlight every single entry that we have, every one of them, you might catch your name as it whizzes by there. 855. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click the column and I'm going to randomize it. So just shuffle it up so that you know, you can see that I've shuffled it. So I have no idea who is in what square or who is doing what. And I'll go right down to the very end again, just to double check what I'm going to ask Siri to share. There we go. Stop the screen share. Hopefully it'll come back to me. So there you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my virtual assistant, I'm afraid to say her name right now, and I'm going to ask her to draw the random number between 0 and 800. 855, yeah. So I'll say between 0 and 856. Let's see what you're saying. The Whiskey Rev is in. Fantastic, big guy. Good to see you in, working together, hopefully with Jason, and looking after everybody as well. So the moderators that we have in tonight is my friend, the Whiskey Rev. Fantastic guy. He lives up in Speyside and works at one of the biggest distilleries up there as well. And also my friend and YouTuber peer, Jason Whiskey Wise. So if you're unable to get my attention tonight, you can try through those guys as well. But when it's really busy, it can be tough. Lorenzo is saying, it looks like Lorenzo 3. Cheers. What are some favourite Irish whiskies that you enjoy? I am a big fan, and lots of people have heard me, Lorenzo, talking about single pot still Irish whiskey. Really love it. I love the textures, I love the flavours, and I love what they're doing with it as well now. The Redbreast range, the Green Spot range. So many of them are available in different cask finishes and things like that as well. It's not an Irish whiskey I have in front of me just now, but this kind of reminded me a wee bit of an Irish whiskey. This has been given to me from my friend Matthew, Multi-Haggis Muncher. I don't know if he's in tonight, but he gave me a cracking little set of tasters and samples, Springbanks and a couple of Longrows actually, and Cadenhead's Glengoyne 21-year-old. Fantastic, looking forward to trying that. But this is a 10-year-old Hazelburn single cask, recharred bourbon hogshead. Delicious. That's the last drop going to go, Matthew. I've really enjoyed this as I was setting up tonight. Very creamy and light. Still has that slight weight in there of the Springbank DNA. It's there. I know that this is triple distilled and there's no smoke. It's unpeated, of course. It's Hazelburn, but it's almost like a puff of smoke. And of course, sometimes that puff of smoke, it says here recharred bourbon, so it could come from the char, of course. But of course, Springbank, when they're making so much peated product as well, I think it happens sometimes, whether it's from casks or environment or whatever. But there is, if you've tried this style of whiskey, especially the lighter Hazelburns, tell me, do you not ever get just like a wisp of fireside? So my answer, Lorenzo, is single pot still Irish. I love it. But I'm open to all whiskies and Irish whiskies too. Jez Batty saying Aqvavitae. Here is prediction. You will hit 10K before summer. Cheers. You know the amount of joy seeing you getting each sub. I remember my pushing DM via Facebook messengers. Whiskey for sharing. Yeah, Jez was one of my first supporters. He really was. He was on very, very early, and he was keen to make sure that I was going to continue to do what I was doing. Even, I think Jez got in touch with me after like my second video or something. Quite encouraging, Jez. And for that, and for being one of my very, very first patrons as well, I'll be ever grateful to you, my friend. Had the pleasure of hanging out with Jez and a few other guys from the London Whisky Club when he was up in Glasgow last year. Brilliant time. Castmate is saying, Aqvavitae, is that the Italian single malt behind you? Yes, it is. That is something I want to talk about. It was given to me from a colleague of mine over in Italy. I work for an Italian company. One of my Italian colleagues shipped that over to me recently. He's a superstar, and I'm just working out what I can take back to him as a nice gift. Okay, let's get on with this giveaway. How many minutes are we in already? You've been waiting long enough. I'm a bit nervous. Hey Siri, give me a random number between 0 and 856.
A random number between 0 and 856 is 206.
206. I'm going to go back to the screen share. I'm not going to look. I'll see at the exact same time as you. Let's see what we have. Share that with you. Let me drive it to go to what number did she say? 256? Remind me. She said 256, didn't she? I'm not doing this intentionally. I'm not doing this to wind you up. I've genuinely given myself doubt. Everybody's saying 206. I am so glad I checked. Thanks to Keith, Daniel, Michael Porter. That's a new name in, Michael. Good to welcome you here. McAllen Fine and Rare, Kevin Grant. Everybody's saying 206. Thank you for saving me from that car crash. Of course, what I have to do now is make sure nobody knows who 256 is. Right, okay, let's go and see. That's like pulling teeth. Let's have a look. Zoom straight up to 206. Oh my God. Roy Evans. Roy, did you, this maybe, I can't even remember that Roy entered. So it's gone to another Roy, but it's worse than that. He's a member of my whiskey club, and he lives about 6 miles from me. I don't even know if Roy is in tonight. Let's see if I can track if participants. Can I search participants to see if Roy is in? I don't think he is. I'm going to message him at some point. I'm going to try and find a moment and let Roy know. Roy for Roy. So there we go. It's somebody I know. Everybody's saying congratulations. Everybody's saying well done. I don't need to worry about shipping now, or whether or not somebody's in a illegal country. I'm quite flabbergasted, actually. He's just sent a message to say he's watching on the Xbox. So congratulations, Roy. You've just picked up, and I've got a feeling that you know the majority of the whiskies that we have here. I've just had a virtual dram in from another member of the Glasgow Whisky Club as well. Karen, you star, thank you so much. A dram for such great content. I appreciate your efforts on this channel, and I know you work hard. Thank you very much, but I've not done very much so far. This week's contribution could go far at Artisan. Thank you very much, Karen. You star. I'm going to finish off this Hazelburn and pour something else to share with you all. Thanks, Karen. Cheers. Stephen Davison is saying Roy looks after Roy. Yeah. And Marcus is quite right. At least you save on shipping costs. That is quite amazing. he's saying he's absolutely killing himself, and he sent me a message full of laughing emojis. Jimmy Jazz as well has bought me a virtual dram, and Baggy is saying sack that Siri voice. Tom R is saying Aqvavitae, just for giggles, let us know who 256 is. I don't think I can do that, Tom. I might have a wee look myself later. So this is Halen Park 18. Now, you might remember from the recycled review, while I wasn't negative about Halen Park 18, I think I was fair, but I just wanted to make note of the fact that I'd gone from thinking the Halen Park 18 was the best whiskey I'd ever tasted a few years back, into each bottle, I thought that it kind of got a wee bit, I kind of lost its magic a little bit more each time. And I always wondered, is that me or is that the whiskey? So that's that one that I'd had for probably 2.5 years, that bottle of Halen Park 18. Far too long for a Halen Park 18, for a whiskey that I used to struggle to keep 2 weeks. And it was obviously because I wasn't enjoying it as much. And I shared it out with a few people, and I kind of got similar feedback that people were kind of like, yeah, it's nice. There was nothing particularly wrong with it, just wasn't what I expected from Halen Park 18. And then at whiskey school, I've got a story to tell you about this. There's a half bottle of Halen Park 18, and there's a reason for it being a half bottle. At whiskey school on Monday, what they do after the lessons are over, the guy, John, who hosts the classes, basically holds a quiz, and he'll hold a bottle up of the 6 whiskies that we've tasted. He's opened them that night. Everybody's had a dram out of it, but what's left, he'll basically give out as a quiz prize. Really, really great fun. But I sit right down at the front, and even when I know he's going to make sure that you know, it's not the same person that's winning all the bottles and things, he's going to try and make sure that everybody gets a nice spread of winning bottles, and everybody takes a bottle home over the course, which is really cool. So a lot of the time I'm kind of biting my tongue. And on Monday night, there was a lot of the questions I didn't know. So I was just kind of sitting quiet anyway. But the ones that I did know, I was aware that the previous 2 weeks I'd taken a bottle home, so I stayed quiet. But right at the end, the very last bottle was a Dalmore cigar malt. And no one else knew the answer to it. And I kind of just piped up, and I took the Dalmore cigar malt, which was a very, very nice dram, if I am honest. Yes, shock, a Dalmore. But it was nice and rich, and I was enjoying it. We had the 12-year-old Dalmore before that. Well, you know my feelings. Anyway, I won the cigar malt, and Rick 2 seats down from me had won the Halen Park 18. And he just kind of suggested, look, Roy, if you're up for a swap, the Halen Park 18 for the Dalmore. And I said, yes, absolutely, no problem. And we swapped it. And the reason I was quite happy to swap it for the Halen Park 18 is this was delicious again on Monday night. I'm going to try it again with you now. The orange marmalade note was back. The zestiness was back. The aromatic, smoky side of things that Halen Park peat was nicely integrated. The gingerbread note that I always get, that kind of sweet baked, almost gingerbread note that sets it apart from the 12. Whereas the 12 is all kind of orangey and a little bit of smoke and things. That nice little kind of agricultural sour note that Halen Park has. There's a richness. There's a kind of baked goods richness that comes through in the Halen Park 18 where it shows its maturity. And it often came off as a kind of gingerbread flavour to me. And that was back when I tasted this on Monday night. I wonder if it's here now. Jimmy Jazz, I poured this so that I could raise this glass to you and say thank you very, very much for your virtual dram. He's saying, oh, well, go buy some more to empty. Thank you much, my friend. Thank you so much, sorry, my friend, for your generous virtual dram. Slancher. That is not the Halen Park 18 I threw out. I've got it here. I mean, I'm seriously tempted to open this and do a comparison, but it doesn't belong to me anymore. It belongs to this guy. And he's saying, thanks, Siri, for me. He's delighted, embarrassed, buzzing, and probably the luckiest bloke in Scotland tonight. That's very generous of you, Roy. So he's a happy guy, and he sent an image through as well. Let's see what this image is he sent through. It's incredible. It's just really, really not intentional. I know that everybody genuinely believes me. That's about as straight as I could play that. Roy, thanks, Siri, for me. Delighted. Okay, yeah. He's taken a screenshot of him drawing it. Wonderful stuff. Well done, Roy. We'll need to meet up soon, buddy. Congratulations. That's just incredible. I can't believe that. I've just had another virtual dram through from, oh, wow. Dirench Isik. I'm struggling, my friend. It's I know I'm making a mess of your name, but I'm going to say thank you very, very much for your dram anyway. He's saying, Ralphie, you and the folks at the Whiskey Tribe have been such an influence for me. Thanks for sharing. You're very, very welcome, my friend, and that's very much what it's all about. Slancha, and thank you for your virtual dram. That brings me nicely, nicely back to the topic of sharing whiskey and what this kind of theme was about. This channel is just about to hit 2 years. Really, really pleased with how it's going. But more than anything, I'm pleased how much I'm enjoying it. Still absolutely committed to it. Enjoying, I never thought I could enjoy the hobby in this way. And I knew every time I had a dram of whiskey, every time I had a sip of whiskey, a new discovery, I knew that it didn't settle with me just keeping it inside and happily enjoying it on my own. I just had to share it, which is why I became such a whiskey bully. Anybody that came to the house, I would kind of force whiskey on them until they started to get it, until they started to understand it. I loved nothing more than to hear the words, nah, I don't really like whiskey. Just music to my ears. And gradually over time, over the years, I've been fortunate enough that most of my friends, even some of my family, have come to really enjoy whiskey with me, and I've been able to share it that way. Then along comes social media, digital channels, YouTube. I had no idea how awesome this would be to share whiskey. So that's kind of what I wanted to, you know, not my channel, but just the idea that my channel is just another place, another spot for you to share whiskey. But I wanted to get feedback from you. Where are you guys sharing whiskey now? Are you finding yourself struggling? Are you looking for different ways to share whiskey? Are you looking to hook up with people that live close to you physically so that you can arrange meetups and tastings and go to events together? Are you happy doing it virtually? Are you indifferent? Are you quite happy sitting at home and enjoying a dram on your own? Is there ways that I can help you Is there ways that this channel and this lounge that you're all chatting in tonight can help you, that you can make connections and hook up with people that live local to you, which is why I always encourage people to shout out, say, hi, hello, I'm in this neck of the woods, I live in this location globally, and I'm drinking X. And maybe if you want, say, yeah, I've been into whiskey for 20 years or more, or no, I'm a newbie and I'm just getting into it. The Whiskey Freedom, you star, he's just sent me through a wonderful, wonderful virtual dram. I've lost it. Here we are, virtual dram from Whiskey Freedom. He's saying this is for 256. Come on, people. You chasing for likes for me. Very curious thing. The recycled review video got 820 comments or more or something, which is astonishing. And despite it being the most liked video I have ever put out in the shortest time, the likes were about 500 less than the comments. And it wasn't because there was conversations going on and lots of comments or people repeating and repeating all the time. It was individual comments. And it just highlights a habit that I am guilty of. I'm out of the habit now. I'm in the habit of liking videos after I've watched it and I've enjoyed it. And I like the vast majority of the whiskey content that I watch, especially when you consider that it's mostly just guys at home and hobbyists, enthusiasts that's taking time to put it together. It really gives them lots of confidence and feedback when they see the thumbs up coming in. But I'm in the habit of hitting that like button now, but I am forgetful and I do forget sometimes. And I think that that's very indicative of a growing, you know, we're changing our habits, whether we're on Instagram, whether we're on Twitter, whether we're on Facebook or YouTube. We are starting to just not just kind of scroll past things, but when we see and pause and enjoy a little snippet of content, just to leave a little, it's not like you need to leave a comment or anything. It's not like, especially on YouTube, the likes and the down thumbs are both anonymous. So we can just leave the little thumbs up as a thank you. And I think not just for this channel, not for this video, not for this stream, not for any of my videos, but just as a very general theme. Thank you very much for your dram, Whiskey Freedom. Keith Corbett's saying monthly tastings with a whiskey crew of Anglicans hosting 40 Sunday for the Super Bowl. 10 are whiskey tasters. Wow. That's some high-end stuff you're doing there, Keith. So you're sorted. You've got a core amount of people around you. You've got things going on and things to look forward to. Let's see if I've missed. Yes, I have. I've missed quite a few. McCallum Finer Rare, the doc has said, I want to send a consolation prize to 256. Okay, I'm gonna look to see who 256 is. But I know that I'll just frustrate the, wow, I know who it is, and it's not a name I recognize. I don't recognize this name. So I'm not gonna mention it. But yeah, they wouldn't have known that they were 256 anyway, Doc. So it's okay. And Josh Headley said, chill filtering and E150 get a lot of hate. Granted, I prefer to have neither, but if it's delicious with or without, then enjoy it. That's absolutely my philosophy. If I could choose, and the whiskey that I go after, of course, it's normally naturally presented whiskey. That tends to be the vast majority of the whiskey that I buy. But we have to remember the history of whiskey, especially Scotch whiskey, where it came from, how it came to be what it is today. And what we are chasing as enthusiasts or as geeks or however we want to refer to ourselves is a product of its time. It's of now, where we're drinking single malts. We're pursuing and demanding more and more variation. It's all about presentation and texture and flavor and taste and knowing as much as we can possibly know about what's in the bottle. Whereas the old brands from the past, the brands that have been going for a long time, I'm talking mostly about blends, of course, but honestly, I'm talking about single malts that have been out for 40, 50, and 60 years. They were following in the footsteps of the blend market. 40% was plenty strong. They had to keep a consistent product. The reason for their success, the reason for whiskey being a success is because blends in a bottle brought along something that could be branded and therefore relied upon to be consistent. So in the drive for consistency, they had to iron out these differences in colour, they had to have a scenario where they could reliably know that that was not going to go cloudy on a shelf in transportation, getting delivered to a customer, or even when a customer throws it over a glass of ice or something. So the chill filtration thing came in. It was all about selling an enjoyable product to a mass market. Now that we've become educated, now that we understand the practice of using E150A and of chill filtration and all of those things, we tend to take a cynical view. And I think that that's valid, but not in every case. And not when it brings us to a point where we could actually starve ourselves of decent whiskey experiences just because we become, I hesitate to use the word, but honestly, snobbish about it. Try the whiskey first. Let the whiskey speak to you. Ask yourself if you can even detect if that whiskey is coloured or chill filtered or whatever. Ask yourself if you're enjoying it before you figure out what the whiskey's about. And oftentimes you find that you enjoy the whiskey just fine, even when it's been coloured and chill filtered. Yes, as whiskey enthusiasts, we start to enjoy much more the higher ABVs. We want to know the provenance of the whiskey, the age statement, what's the maturation been. We want to know as much about it as we possibly can, more than the SWA legislation will allow us to understand. And we know that E150A can be used cynically as well. So if we want to be vigilant, and if we want to push the industry for more natural products, and also tell the industry and demonstrate to the industry that we'll pay a wee bit more for that presentation as well, because 46% whiskey versus 40%, well, there's more whiskey in the bottle. If we're asking for more natural presentation, then we have to pay for it. I've just had another dram in from Ben, Whiskey Geek. You star. Me and Joe will be headed up your direction on our tour of Campbellton and Islay at the beginning of March. Super excited. Thank you for hosting us all again. No, thank you for coming, Ben, and thank you very, very much for buying me a virtual dram. When you're up here, please keep me updated with your movements. If you're passing by and there's opportunity for us to shake hands and say hello. Ben is a huge, passionate whiskey enthusiast. He actually, as you can see, calls himself Whiskey Geek. He started a YouTube channel and has started to use YouTube to share his whiskey passions as well. So drop by and give Ben's channel a wee look if you've got some time. And I'll say, Ben, Slancheva, my friend, maybe you can let us know when you're up here. This is remarkable. Roy Evans, that won the Halen Park 18 from me, I'm going to pour you another sample of this Halen Park 18 so that you can compare them side by side. It's incredible. And I'll say something else that was pointed out on Monday night that I thought was very curious. I've never ever noticed this before. I've never looked for it, but I don't think it existed before. This is obviously the new box for the new Viking Pride version of Halen Park 18 and the new stylized bottle and things, the embossed bottle. But up the top here, you might notice I need to pull up a camera so I can see if this will focus. Can you see what that says up the top? 2018 batch. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think that we have ever seen that before on Halen Parks, which to me is kind of like a nod. You know, that the industry have never ever denied that there's batch variation. That's exactly what a master blender's job is to do, to iron out that variation on products that they need to try and keep consistent bottle to bottle from year to year. But to put that on there and to say this is a 2018 batch, it's almost embracing the concept that people will find batches that they're drawn to more, that will become their favourite. They're going to sell the stuff regardless. I think that's quite nice. I think that's a good thing to see. Okay, it's not granular right yet. It's just a year. Like, I don't know how many litres of Halen Park 18 are sold every year, but it's a lot. But I think that's a good, positive move in the right direction if Halen Park are putting batches right up there front. You don't need to go and hide and look at what's been printed on the back of a label or inkjet print on a bottle shoulder or something like that. It's right up front on the outer box, which is kind of fantastic. Phil is in Causeway Coast Whiskies. Good to see you, Phil. He's saying, good evening, Aqvavitae. Macallan Fine and Rare is saying, Horst Luning rang a big study on chill filtration. Nah, it wasn't a big study. It was a very, very small sample. He said with his customers a few years ago, no statistically significant difference was detected. Absolutely. And, but the thing is, it wasn't that big a sample. And it was done by him on homemade apparatus and things. And he wasn't really using, he was using a very generalized mix of, now I'm not trying to dismiss what Horst did. I think it was fantastic what he did. But there are people on record from the industry who will tell you they will not chill filter their product because it makes a difference. And I'm not just talking about Scotch, I'm talking about American bourbon producers as well. Mose has just dropped in with a virtual dram. You star, Mose, thank you so much. He's saying, just dropping in to say hi. Hello, right back at you, and I hope you stay for a little while, my friend. Thank you so much for your virtual dram. Let's see what I'm missing on the direct messages. Patrick Filmer is saying, hello, Roy, just jumped in. I'm at work. Yes, so many of you are, Patrick. I know, because of the time difference, I guess, you guys in the States and things like that, and Canada, I know it's difficult for you to participate, and I appreciate everybody that does manage to drop in. And of course, I appreciate the people who are dropping in on the replay as well. And despite it being a 2-hour long stream, let's see if I can keep it less than 2 hours tonight. Daniel Grasso is saying, my favourite whiskey is the Dilwynny 15. Welcome in, Daniel. That looks like a new name. It's the one that resonated with me when I discovered it in the last year. What are your thoughts on it, and what else might you recommend along those lines? Well, Dilwynny was a kind of one of those entry whiskies for me. It used to be, you see it less on offer cheap in supermarkets now, but you used to see it. You used to be able to pick up Dilwynny 15 on a £25 special offer in a lot of supermarkets. Now it's 40%, but this was a 15-year-old single malt. Incredible value. And even though it's a bit more expensive now, I think it's still good value when you consider it's 15 years old. Yes, in the UK, it's bottled at 40%. You may be able to pick up export strength bottles. I'm not sure. I think it's 40%. Is it 43? Fairly sure it's 40%. Anyway, I enjoyed it. It was a little bit honeyed for me back then, and I had to go through quite a few different expressions in order to start enjoying a honeyed style whiskey. But I do enjoy it now. In fact, I love it now. And very, very recently, I would say as recently as after summer, end of last year, I was sipping a Dilwynny 15, and I was appreciating it from a new perspective. Where I am in whiskey now, I've not had it in a long time, and I was really enjoying the texture of it, how unctuous it was. Can I use that word? I know, but that just kind of mouth filling. It just sat on my palate. It was very, very enjoyable, very light. When I added a few drops of water and things, it seemed to get a wee bit better, and I just started to really think, wow, this Dilwynny 15 is really nice. Now, that was that mood, that moment, that environment, everything. But yes, I think it's a fantastic whiskey, and one that, because it used to be available everywhere and was quite cheap, I seemed to get past it quite quickly. Toby's saying he got the Dilwynny Distillers Edition from Ocado for £30. That's a fantastic offer. So what does Dilwynny, what is their Distillers Edition? What do they finish it in? What kind of cask is it, Toby? Do you remember? Whiskey Radar is saying in Germany, I think it's 43%. It could well be in the UK as well, but in my head, Dilwynny is a 40% product like Cragganmore, and yeah. Let's see what other messages I've missed. Simon Ray is saying, Aqvavitae, I'm turning 50 in May and would like to get a good bottle to share with friends and family to mark the occasion. Any thoughts on what I might get? Oh, wow, Simon, that's a toughie. Now, I would need to know a wee bit more about where you are in whiskey and what you're enjoying right now. But honestly, if you're turning 50, don't put pressure on yourself to find anything that's close to that age. Just treat yourself to something that's nice. And don't make the mistake. One of the mistakes I made in my 40th is I kept a bottle of 40-year-old whiskey sealed. and I'm going to be 50, not long behind you, let's say. I'll be 50 next year. And that 40-year-old is still sitting downstairs and it's not been opened. And it's become a bit of a ball and chain because I know how difficult it'll be to replace. But that will be opened and it will be shared. Perhaps it'll have to wait till my 50th before it happens. So I would say get something that you can share and get something that you can continue to share in the future, because it'll mean that you can look back on that 50th celebration and it can maybe hold some kind of positive memories and associations with you. Because I think that's the big thing that whiskey is very, very good at, that moment, that you know, just kind of bringing people and events and moments and times together. It's just... And it means that when you have those memories, you've also got a very real world thing to help you remember those things. That's kind of like what Lagavulin 16 is for me. It's like what Glengoyne is for me. The Whiskey Rev is in here. He knows that that's what Mortlach 16 is for me. Even if you taste better whiskies in the future, they hold very, very precious anchor points. They mark very precious anchor points in your life. So if you were to squeeze an answer out of me, Simon, I would say buy yourself something like a Glengoyne 25. Still very, very reasonable. It's very expensive. I admit it's 240, 260 pounds. If you can push to the Glengoyne 30, I've not tried it, but people that I trust, such as Rob over in Canada, Whiskey in a Six, raves about it and says it's fantastic. Something classy like that, and something like that that's got a good opportunity to be available for you to continue to buy in the future. I hope that somehow answers your question. Kevin Grant is saying, I just put a bid on Rock Oyster small batch. Good or bad? I've not tried it, Kevin. I thought Rock Oyster was okay. If you get it at a good price, then everything's good, right? Wow, I've been missing super chats, haven't I? Let's scroll back up. Oh no, it's only just come in. Good, Donald, you star. Donald Rance has bought me a dram all the way from Canada, and he's saying, "Here, I just dropping in to say hi. I'm still at work. Thanks for all the passion and knowledge that you bring. I have an Auchentoshan 3-wood when I watch the replay when I get home." You star, Donald. Thank you very, very much. I hope that when you get home, the weather in Canada is kind to you. Hope you've got a nice, warm, comfortable place to sit. Perhaps you can catch the quiz on the replay, Donald. Whiskey Radar is bringing me back to the concept of sharing here. It looks like he's saying Aqvavitae. We have a nice group of workmates, fantastic, meeting up once a month or so after work, sharing lovely drams. Your channel played an important role, as we once started off with your pronunciation guide. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. So yeah, I mean, it's good if you're in an environment where there are lots of colleagues that you can tap into, people that are nearby you there as well. Scotch Test Dummies did a great thing in their workplace. Those two guys work in the same workplace, and they were able to arrange little tastings and things actually in the workplace to share whiskey with people that they worked beside. And I think that went down really well. But of course, some of us don't have big organizations that we work for, or perhaps they would frown on kind of socializing with alcohol or whatever. And some of us, like me, work from home, and it can be more difficult to hook up with people. And I think that's why the virtual thing works really, really well. But one of the things I wanted to touch on was whiskey clubs. I'm a member of the Glasgow Whiskey Club. I'm very privileged to be a member of the Glasgow Whiskey Club. Lots of really, really dedicated and passionate people there. Lots of knowledge there. Meets twice a month. Second or middle Tuesday, let's say, in the last Tuesday of the month as well. Really great thing to exist. And there's lots of clubs across Glasgow because it's Glasgow, because it's a big city. A lot of you are a bit more rural. So yes, getting together through a workplace is fantastic. But more than anything, I think, and I really enjoyed the Whiskey Rev coming down here at New Year and spending some time here. Him and his family came down and stayed over. And when the two of us were enjoying whiskey, I remembered it brought back those memories from the Whiskey Wednesdays we used to have before he moved away, that everything we sipped was much, much more enjoyable because you could enjoy it at the same time. And even if it was a whiskey that one of us had tried in advance on our own, we could vicariously watch the reaction of the other person to either, you know, reinforce what we felt or kind of give us something to debate or discuss. Sherry Malt Drams is saying, Aqvavitae, are you going to do a video for me? Yes, I am. It's still on in my inbox. And I should have done it quite a while ago. I do apologise and I thank you for your patience. But you do have a video coming. And you've said, if not a free sample, well, why can't it be both? Just for me to thank you for your patience. I've got your email there. I looked it up quite recently as well. Are you S. Grimes? I looked it up quite recently as well, and I am on it and very mindful of it. I was going to just respond to you to apologise. But I'll maybe just sit in front of this machine and hang out in front of the camera and make a little video for you. Thanks for your patience. And the Whiskey Rev is saying, must make sure I'm there for that opening. I think you're probably talking about that 40-year-old, right? George Kaplan is there. He said, cheers, everyone, just dropping in during dinner preparations. Love that shirt, mister. You're talking about this. It's very brightly coloured, isn't it? But you know what? If I wear a black shirt in front of this camera, it's crazy. If I wear a black shirt, everything goes dark. And if I wear a light coloured shirt, everything goes bright. And it's you can't really control the white balance in any kind of degree of, there's no fine control. It's either it's all over the place either side, or you leave it on auto in the middle and let it do its own thing. So that's what I'm doing. And I've found that I don't know what it's like from you guys can see, but from my monitor side of things, it seems to look okay. But I apologise if I'm giving anybody eye ache with my bright colours tonight. Danny Blackwell saying, Roy, a couple of questions. Outside of Scotch, what is your favourite whiskey? Outside of Scotch, I would say single pot still Irish, maybe one of the Redbreast, the Lustau maybe, or one of the Green Spot wine finishes. But I would have to say the one that I struggled to reach past is Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, and Mash Burn brought me last year a Knob Creek store pick that is also absolutely fantastic as well. It says 9-year-old on the label, but there's a badge that says it's a 14-year-old single cask. I would say that is also up there as well. Wonderful stuff. I hope that answers your question. Who was it that asked that? Danny Blackwell. Oh no, he's asked another one. Outside of whiskey, what is your next favourite tipple? I'm still partial to a beer, but I can't drink as much of it as I used to. I do like the occasional beer. Sometimes there's nothing to substitute a nice beer, whether you're in the mood for a nice cold beer or a nice tasty thick beer. I still like the occasional beer, but I only drink it by the glass now. I hope that answers your question, Danny, and welcome in. I think that's a new name as well. Gregor is saying, Aqvavitae, I'm a one-man whiskey club. I fear the treasurer may be untrustworthy as he keeps exceeding the budget. You and I are kindred spirits in that, Gregor. Absolutely. We certainly are. So there we go. I want to mention quickly scores as I sip this Halen Park 18. Because the recycled reviews have a spreadsheet that you can click on. It's a Google spreadsheet. Anybody can click on it. If you want to download it yourself and have a personal copy so you can add your own scores or notes alongside, whatever, you can do that. But it's a view-only spreadsheet, and you can keep up to date there with my scores and what I score whiskey as. There's no notes or anything. It's meant to be very fast. You can keep it bookmarked on your phone, grab it quickly, and just refer to it if you're on the hop, passing through an airport, in a shop, whatever, browsing the internet, and you can see if it's something that I've reviewed. And if you click on the link, it takes you to the exact point in the video. So that spreadsheet exists, but next to the scores column, there's another column called Change My Mind. And I think that's there. It's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but not really tongue-in-cheek. I've just had a virtual Draman from the Whiskey Audit. You star, thank you very much. He's saying thank you for your comments on my blog. You're very, very welcome. The Whiskey Audit recently did if you search for the Whiskey Audit blog, Whiskey blog, he recently did an article on whiskey tubers. And there's not a lot of that going around just now, but he talked about this channel, and he talked about Ralphie, Scotch Test Dummies, the Whiskey Vault, I think a few other channels as well, which I thought was quite cool. It's kind of funny for this YouTube thing as a platform to be talked about in the whiskey context. So I thought it was quite cool, and I recommend you give it a little read. And he said nice things about me. So a double recommendation there. Gregor is saying, me and, oh, thank you very much, Whiskey Audit, for your virtual dram as well. Cheers. Greg is saying he's only in an informal whiskey club, meet less than 2 times a year. It's fine. Many of us, various locations, but it's a high-end crazy meeting. Usually I can imagine lots of pent-up things to share, but we have no t-shirts, no fancy logo or cards. Well, it doesn't matter. You don't need that to have a club. You just need to have a core group of enthusiastic, like-minded people that are happy to get together for a shared experience. Vicky Thompson is in. Thank you, Vicky, for your recent support as well. Wonderful to see you. And she's saying that she's on Talisker 10 now. Nice dram, although Darkstorm is nicer. Yeah, I thought the Darkstorm was okay. I thought it was quite a different take on Talisker. I was lucky enough to try the Talisker 8-year-old at the Glasgow Whisky Club. It's the Diageo special releases for 2018, 8-year-old at Cask Strength. Probably the finest Talisker I've ever tasted. It was very, very lovely. So much dry, ashen peat on the nose as well. Much more peat than you would expect to get from any other Talisker reasonably. Very engaging Talisker. Still dry, still salty, but lots of juiciness on the arrival as well. Just a great dram. Eric Waite is saying, on the colour of whiskey, what about the psychological aspect of us drinking with our eyes? Presentation of food is important. Could E150 be psychologically helpful? I don't know if it's helpful, but it's certainly a huge, huge factor. There's absolutely no doubt. And that's why, if it's cynically used, E150A, it tends to be used to darken whiskey, ridiculously so, right? And I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame when that happens, because we do taste and drink with our eyes. And what you find, even if you're blind tasting, if you're trying to assess what a whiskey is, and if you're guessing what the whiskey is, rather than appraise the whiskey on how you feel about it, whether you think it's a good or a bad whiskey, you should probably do that in a masked glass, like a black or a blue glass or something, or a blind glass. But if you're actively trying to guess what a whiskey is a little bit of a challenge. Even if the whiskey is coloured, if it's a good quality whiskey, it's coloured to suggest its style, if that makes sense. So if there's been a lot of sherry casks in something and the sherry casks haven't given as much colour as they usually do, it's sold as a sherry style whiskey, so they will tend to colour it as such and things. So even when it's got E150 in it, colour is still a clue. I hope I'm making sense there. I don't think I've been very succinct there. But to get back to your point, Eric, I think we absolutely taste with our eyes. Most of the time when we bring a glass close up to our nose and our mouth, we've already decided, just by kind of subconsciously taking in the colour, what we might find in there. I think there is absolutely no doubt. Garcia. It's Ander Garcia, and he's saying it's because Hi is there. Hi there, he's saying, can someone tell a shop that has good prices and whiskey in Edinburgh? I would say you have to go to Cadenheads in the Royal Mill in Edinburgh. I don't know where you are in your journey, but even if you're early, go to Cadenheads and ask for their input and advice. If you're not enjoying it, just go around the corner to Jeffrey Street. There's a shop in there as well. The guy with the beard is Hector. He's a very friendly guy as well. Good selection of whiskey in there. Caters to a lot of the more specialist bottlings as well, but has a lot of standard stuff too. Go in there and chat to those guys. But if you're looking for best prices, you're not really going to get it from a specialist retailer. You go to the specialist retailer for the experience, for the knowledge, for the guidance, and for the input. And I think that deserves and commands an understandable premium. If you're looking for best price, then of course we'll just do what everyone does and go online. But if you're looking for a little bit of guidance, specialist retailers. Fantastic. Curtis Bailey, you star, he's bought me a virtual dram. He's saying, I tweeted at you about getting the 17 Lager 12 on your recommendation and love it. And inspired by you to have shared it with 3 others already. Have you had the 18? Curtis, that's fantastic to hear that you love it as well. And it's fantastic you've been inspired to share it with other people too. That is what it's all about. That's the point of this show tonight. Just how are we sharing the whiskies? That's fantastic feedback to get. I have not opened the 18 yet, but I did buy it. It's downstairs waiting. I kind of had this idea that what I would do is because of how blown away I was by the 17, I kind of want to come back a wee bit now from that moment, and having enjoyed it and had my time with it, try and objectively open the last 17 that I have at the same time as the 18. So they're both opened at the same time. The neck pour is the same, and kind of try them back to back, because it can be really difficult to find a lot of differences, I think, sometimes. And when you've really connected with a whiskey like I connected with that 17-year-old, was it because of the moment that I opened and tasted it? Or was it because it genuinely was a much, much better example? Because I've had a lot of discussions since, lots of people saying, oh, I prefer the 14, or I prefer the 13 or the 16, or I don't know what you're talking about with the 17, I don't get that, and things. That's absolutely valid, and you would expect that because it's very, very subjective. But everybody that I've shared that 17 Lagavulin 12 with has come away going, wow, that's a special Lagavulin, and it really, really is. I've had a virtual Amy, you star. George says you're too hard on yourself, and he really does like your shirt. Thank you, George, and thank you, Amy. Thank you very much for your continued support. You guys are stars. Amy will bully you into leaving a like on this video, but that's what she's there for. That's what she does, and she's just a gentle prompt and things. You don't need to leave a like if you don't want to. No problem. Malt Reviews is in as well. He's saying, don't tell anyone about Cadenheads. We can't keep it to ourselves. The theme of the show is about sharing whiskey. Jason, so sorry, big guy. And I think Cadenheads won't mind. Amy, thank you very much to you and George for your virtual dram. Cheers, guys. And Gregor is saying, prod Roy on this one, please. What was the turning point for unlocking more fine, granular tasting notes beyond that's peated? That isn't. I'm getting a little angry at myself. Do you know what? I do too. And I tend to find it's worse, Gregor. You're probably the same as me, that you're in company with, often with people that are insanely better at it than you are. And it kind of makes you feel that you're a bit inept, that you're never going to get better at it. You need to try and work out what works for you. Some people sit with an aroma box. Some people are quite happy sitting just with the dram. Other people like to make notes and things and label and help their memories that way. I found when I used to have a here, and it was actually printed off for a video a long time ago, and it used to sit here for a while until it got ruined. It was just a paper printed flavor wheel. And I used to sit with the flavor wheel and kind of just, I'd examine the whiskey first and I'd try and get what I could out of it. And then I'd go around the flavour wheel. And wow, just by the power of suggestion from the flavour wheel, you started to pick a lot more out. And that can be a bit noisy, and it's tough to separate the valid from the not so valid, you know, just hints of things. So what you start to do is you start to make little notes alongside that flavour wheel. And each time you do that, your brain, if you're lucky, your brain starts to build this little library of notes that you can rely on in the future. And yes, it tends to be big buckets, peat, for example, sherry, bourbon, honey, coconut, vanilla, or whatever. It tends to be these big broad brush things at the start. But as you taste and contrast, as you sit there with your notes, with your flavour wheel or whatever it may be, you start to label and identify and isolate more and more specific things. And it doesn't matter how crazy it is. I was watching Mark from Whiskey Whistle's Loch Lomond review, and he talked about, right at the end, he said, wow, I'm getting ripe kiwi. And I had to say, do you know what? I think that's what I've been tasting in Loch Lomond. I think that's a perfect fit, to the point that I was out shopping with the kids tonight and I bought kiwi fruit just so that I could ripen it under some bananas. When it's fully ripe, burst it open and taste it and try and work out if that's that kind of really almost sour, sweet and sour fruity note that I get in that Loch Lomond. Because I noticed that somebody else in his comments had picked up the same thing. So it seems kind of really random to come up with something like kiwi fruit, and I've heard much, much more random things than that. But everything is valid, and you should just go with it. Just don't, you're not trying to fake anyone. Nobody's trying to fake you. If anybody thinks that you're trying to fake it, it's like golf. You're only cheating yourself. You just try and express as best as you possibly can. But if you don't taste something that somebody else gets, it's okay. Just say, I don't get that yet. And if you do get something and nobody else gets it, it doesn't mean that you're wrong. That's just how you're expressing it at that time. And I hope that we all get better at it as we go forward. I'm not as good at it. I hate being in Graham's company because he always seems to do better than I do. I'm talking about the Whiskey Rev, by the way. Kevin Bryant is saying, anyone have a bottle of Glendronach 18? Thinking of getting a 21-year-old, would you advise the Glengoyne 21 instead? If you could only buy one, not tried either 21. It depends. I think the Glendronach 21 Parliament is much more caricature. It's much more an extreme example of its style. There's a little bit more spice and weight, I think, to the Glendronach 21-year-old. So if the price was the exact same between the two, if you were really a sherry head, if you were a big sherry fan, Glendronach Parliament. And I think it also benefits from being a few dots higher in ABV. The reason I love the Glengoyne 21 is that I often find it, especially in other kind of sherry drams company, the Glengoyne 21 can often express itself as a much cleaner sherried style. I find it much more easy drinking, maybe a lot to do with the ABV, because Glengoyne 21 is 43%. So I would suggest, if you're after a bit more, I don't want to say refined, but maybe refined, elegant, more kind of restrained sherried style Glengoyne 21, and then kind of a bit more, a bit louder sherried style would be the Glendronach Parliament. That would be my take on it, Kevin. So whichever one you decide, let me know if I've led you in a positive direction. Okay, what else do I want to talk about? I do want to talk about a couple of bottles that are over my shoulder. Quickly, I want to mention this gorgeous bottle from Typically Gorgeous. The Italians are very good at presenting things, aren't they? If I look at this on camera, you can see that. Okay, I hope it's not looking green. Have you ever seen a bottle that looks more like a pot still than this? It really, really does. This is from the Puni distillery in Italy. This is it says the Italian malt whiskey. Now, it is a single malt, but this, I'm not sure of this one. This is 5-year-old, so it must be. This is not malted barley. This is some malted barley, malted wheat, and not corn, rye, I think. Wheat, rye, and barley is making this whiskey. They're doing single malt now from 100% malt, but I haven't tried or seen any of that. But I haven't tried this one either. This turned up today. Sorry, this turned up this week from my friend and colleague in Italy. He sent this to me, and I haven't had a chance to speak to him face to face yet, but I have sent him a few messages to thank him, to see what his take on it and what he thinks of it yet. I haven't opened it yet, of course, as you can see, but I'm very, very curious to try this 5-year-old Italian malt whiskey. Of course, the climate and environment over there, it means that they mature it very, very differently in Italy, and their cube. This distillery is actually a cube, if you've ever seen it. Quite a fascinating thing. So I wanted to bring your attention to that, and to see if anybody in the crowd has any experience of it. I have tried a few samples of Puni, the younger stuff, and it did taste very young, if I'm honest. The peated stuff, even the peated one was quite young, but the peated one was, maybe because of the peat, was more enjoyable than their standard one. But I think that this will be starting to mature quite nicely now at 5 years old, and I'm curious to try that. It actually says matured for 5 years in ex-bourbon barrels, natural colour and non-chill filtered. It's got some tasting notes down there of vanilla, mango and pepper. Fairly generic there, but that's fine. But it's non-chill filtered and presented at 43%, which is quite curious. Now, when this turned up, straight off the courier, I took it out of the box and I held it up, and yes, it was very, very misty. So yeah, non-chill filtered. If the Italians are making, you know, okay, this is kind of craft style presentation, if you want to use the word craft. They're not making a lot there. I don't know, they're not a big distillery, 50, 80, 100,000 litres, that kind of size. But it's kind of nice that they're leading with that, you know, in that market. It's cool. But I also want to show you this, because I'm really, really wanting to open this tonight. What do you think? Does anyone know about Daft Mill? Daft Mill is a farm distillery in Fife, a lowland distillery. 2005 or 2006 it opened. and 2005, I think it was. And since the whiskey became 3 years old, the farmer there, who only distills part-time, a couple of months in winter, a couple of months in summer. So these whiskies that they release, this is the winter batch. They have a winter and a summer release, and it reflects their distilling season. And the rest of the time, he's just a farmer. Francis Cuthbert is his name. And he's been getting pestered since his whiskey came of legal age. And it wasn't until last year, when it was fully 12 or 13 years old, that he released his first official bottling. And then it was quickly followed by a summer release. And now we have the winter release. And thanks to my friend Sevi, the alchemist, he managed to find where there was still a few bottles of stock left of this, allocated to one per customer, and I managed to jump on and get a bottle, as did Sevi and Scott Kilted Moose at the same time. Okay, so I am curious to open this Daft Mill and share it with you. Now, Francis never ever released his product, and he always just kind of used to say, patience is a virtue, or it's not ready yet, and things like this. There's a Ralphie video, actually, where Ralphie takes a tour of that distillery, and I'm trying to think, the year must go back to maybe something like 2013 or something. And he takes a tour together with Francis, and you can kind of pick up just how laid back and how almost ambivalent he is to release the whiskey. And I guess he obviously didn't have much in the way of financial pressure, and he could hang on to it a bit longer until he felt it was ready. But I've been desperate to own a bottle of Daft Mill. This is the first one I've owned. And it only arrived today. This also was delivered today, which is why I didn't advertise that I was going to uncork and share this, because I wasn't sure when it was going to turn up. But I would like to share with you one of the smallest Scottish distilleries, one of the newest ones, but not in terms of construction, but in terms of releases. And can I give you some feedback? Of course, it's on a neck pour. It's on I'm literally doing an uncorking here. Financially, this is not astute, because I've got a suspicion that this is going to go up in value very quickly, because it's really difficult to get hold of. Nice pop. Just pour it into a clean glass and let it sit for a moment while I hang out and talk to you guys. And forget everything else that I have to talk about. I want to talk about some giveaways as well. There are bottles over my shoulder that I intend to give away to celebrate the 2 years. Still 243 of you in, so you know I was leaving it until a bit later in the stream. You saw how difficult it was to manage that giveaway. 855 entrants or whatever, so that's going to be difficult to do going forward if I do share whiskey in that way. But what I'll do next time with the two bottles to give away, I'm only going to do it on YouTube. It'll be on a live stream. I'll announce it, and I won't advertise it externally, and I won't promote it externally. It'll just be for the people who tune in, and it'll be in the individual videos. But my idea, and I'm still playing with it, is that I'll do a giveaway tonight on the Arran 14, which is my whiskey of the year, and I'll draw the winner of that on my next live stream, which won't be Thursday, because Thursday the 14th is Valentine's. So I'm moving it to Sunday the 17th. And the reason for that is it was the 17th of February 2 years ago that I did released my first ever video. You might not want to go and watch that. I don't know how great it is, but regardless, it was my first video. To mark that date, I'm going to do the vPub on a Sunday night, Sunday the 17th of February, and I'll give away a bottle of Arran 14-year-old, this one here. Again, the same caveats apply. You should be in an area where I can legally ship whiskey to you, and you have to be of legal age and things like that. But the idea is that if I'm doing it in here in the vPub, doing the giveaway, then it's community folk that I know, right? And I need to worry about that a bit less. Patrons get extra entries, of course. It's something that's in the Patreon tiers. They get some extra bonus entries and things like that. But I can't do the giveaway in Patreon. Patreon will not let me run a game of chance in there, whereas YouTube, you know, they don't really know about it or care. No, this is Whiskey. I've just had to release your comment. He said those first videos were great. They got my sub. Thank you very much, Finn. Yeah, you were one of the very, very first. You were my 11th subscriber. I'm fairly certain of that. That's how I remember it as well. And I remember your comment as well. I remember the comment that you left behind. It was very supportive. Am I still with you? I don't know if I've dropped out. I see a screen refresh problem here. Chat's still coming through, so I'm just going to go with it. I think it's okay. Hopefully it's just at my side. Anyway, this is the bottle I'll be giving away. My Whiskey of the Year last year. My Arran 14 downstairs. Is starting to get a bit better. I was a bit troubled by it when I first opened it. It's often the case with these things, but it's starting to get really nice again. So I'm going to talk about how you can win that tonight. Not in the live chat, not in the live chat. In the comments under the video, so the comments that appear and stay there permanently. After the video, or now if you want, just simply go in and type Arran 14 to enter the competition, and then give me and share with me what would be your Whiskey of the Year. What was the whiskey? It doesn't need to be the best whiskey that you had last year, but maybe a whiskey that kind of defined a moment in 2018 for you. Just tell us and share us your moment in the whiskey that it was last year. So you've got a nice comment. It's a bit of effort this time, not just writing heels please like the last entry, but writing Arran 14 and then sharing a bit of engagement that you know the community can engage a little bit as well. So put that comment in there, and I'll do the same thing. I'll run a draw, and everybody's name will go in to have this bottle shipped to them. And you can tell me what you think about Arran 14. Now, my idea for the next bottle I'm going to give away will not be tonight, but I'll share more details of that with you once I draw the Arran 14. I'm going to see how the Arran 14 giveaway goes and what I can learn from that and kind of refine it each time so it's a bit easier for everyone, and as long as it stays completely fair. But the next bottle, and good luck buying this now, good luck finding this. It's still available. It's not completely sold out everywhere, but this is tough to get a hold of now because this was Ralphie's Whiskey of the Year. This is Glenallachie 12-year-old, 46%. I have tried this. The Whiskey Reb and I opened a bottle of this at Christmas time and shared some together. It is a very, very nice whiskey. I am getting errors popping up here, so I do hope that it's only a blip at my side. And I hope that you're still seeing me and hearing me. But yeah, I'm going to give away Ralphie's Whiskey of the Year. Why am I doing that? Don't enter the competition for this now. I'll share with you more, as I've already said to you, on the next live on the 17th of February. But on the 15th of February, Ralphie celebrates 10 years, which makes my 2 years look every bit as tiny as it actually is. He's been going at it for 10 years. So to mark that, but I've also got this idea in my head that I'll share with you in the next live stream. I just need to pad it out a wee bit and maybe just get permission to do it in the way that I want to do it. So I'll share that with you on the next stream. But the next giveaway that you can enter now is for the Arran 14, my Whiskey of the Year. And that, all you have to do is type in Arran 14 and then tell me in the comments below what your Whiskey of the Year in 2018 was. Good. Best of luck to everybody. Bill Dull is in. You star, it's great to see you. Arran 14, you're typing it in the wrong place. This is the live chat. Put it in the comments underneath the video, please, buddy. I got through an older bottling of Tomatin 18 very quickly, and everyone I shared it with blind loved it and chose it over all others. Sounds like you picked a perfect bottling of a very good whiskey, and it was able to outshine a lot of things. Tomatin 18, decent dram, decent whiskey. Connor Strang is saying my whiskey of the year was the Talisker 8. Wasn't it good? And the Lechic, the Whiskey Exchange show bottle. I never got to try that one, Connor. But both of those sound fantastic. But wasn't that Talisker 8 really quite engaging? Fantastic. Let's just check the direct messages, see if I've missed anything. I do tend to ramble a little bit. We really can't script these things. Outdoor Geek. Hey Roy, love the channel. Thank you very much. Don't get to jump on the live streams too much due to work, but I do catch up. Thank you for watching on the replay as well. Have you ever sampled Glendalough 13 Mizunara finish? A highlight for me at Whisky Live. Well, because of a very good friend of mine, Mikey Hay, I was going to open this and start tonight with it before I opened that Hazelburn. But this was a very generous sample. This is probably, there's 3 decent drams in this at least. And I realized that this would be, in the spirit of the theme of things tonight, of course, this would be a good one to share. And I know this is tough to get a hold of, but everybody raves about this whiskey, this Irish whiskey, and the fact that it's Mizunara oak that they've used here, 46%. Thanks very much to Mikey Hay for this really generous sample. So I haven't tried it yet. Or let's say if I have tried it, I don't have a memory of it. Sometimes at the Whiskey Club, I don't take notes and I haven't taken photos. It might have been something that I've shared there, but I don't have a memory of that one. It was one because of the chatter about it, because of how much everyone was talking about it, I definitely wanted. And the Whiskey Rev's keeping my back here, fantastic. He's saying, you're here. You blipped for a few seconds. Yeah, I had it's almost like a mini power outage, but a data power outage. Okay, let's have a wee nose of this Daft Mill. Oh. Floral and cereal. It's the first thing. Not giving too much away just now, really quite light. Little bit of like not zesty lemon, like floral lemon, like almost like a lemon blossom thing. But I think a wee bit tight and a wee bit closed. First pour just opened, obviously. Let's use one of the Whiskey Vaults hacks, or the Whiskey Tribes hacks that they shared with us. I've done this in the past, and sometimes it can work quite well. It just smells like cake and biscuits in my hands. I think I'm just getting all the sweet notes and the cereal out of it. Might need to leave it for a wee bit longer just to see if we can open it up a wee bit more. But I really like this label. Do you see how plain and simple this is? All the information is in small print on the back, which is kind of cool. It even tells you all the casks that they used. And I think this will be 7 casks like the last time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh no, 6 casks this one looks like. To yield, tells us on the front, 1,625 bottles. It tells you quite a lot. It's vintage, obviously, 2006, bottle 2018. So is that 12 years old or 11 years old? They were filled, the casks were filled on the 16th of December 2006. So yeah, 11 years old. So in official terms, this Daft Mill is an 11-year-old 2006 vintage. Is that right? Yes, that's right. No. Bottled in 2018. Well, I guess it depends on when it was bottled, right? If it was bottled later than the 16th of December, could be an official 12. But I think this was available at the Glasgow Whisky Festival, which was in November. So I'm going to suggest it's 11 years old. Matt has just bought me a virtual dram, said, Roy, thoughts on the Octomore 9s? Haven't tried enough of them, Matt, to share with you. Octomores are it's an expensive club. Wonderful whiskey, absolutely. Wonderful variation, wonderful takes on a theme. But they're expensive, right? If you haven't tried, then personal favourite, in Glengroyne, Range for the Money. Cheers, buddy. I think, on balance, all things considered, depend on where you get me in mood. Creamy bourbon only style whiskey from Glengoyne 15-year-old is a really nice dram. 21-year-old gives you that sherry character, as we've already spoken about. But I think the one in terms of complexity, in terms of engagement, Glengoyne 18 probably is a fantastic balance and still very, very good value for money. I hope that's fair enough. Matt, thank you very, very much for your virtual dram. And I guess the sip I'm going to take to say sláinte to you is my first sip out of this bottle of Daft Mill. Yeah, because of the notes I got from my hand there, I'm certainly getting a kind of shortbread note, which is really nice. I like it, a kind of biscuit thing. British biscuits, of course. Mm-hmm. Very clean, very, very gentle. On arrival, very gentle and soft, nice clean texture. I thought it was going to be maltier than that. I thought it was going to be all about the cereal and things. Maybe as a little bit, there's a kind of bready note there. The lemon is there. The lemon's obvious, but it's not harsh and zingy. It's not jagged lemon. It's like a sweet baked goods lemon. You can see where I'm going now. See where the theme here is with the biscuit thing and that's there. There's white pepper and spice on the finish, and that goes quite quickly and it stays for a little while. Oh, sorry, it develops quickly and then stays for a while. But that's the only jagged edges I'm getting here. It's a softer experience. Lovely texture still there. Longer finish than I would expect. This is really nice. I bet you this is going to open up and be an absolute belter of a whiskey. I know you're all watching one day for me to sip a whiskey and try for the first time and go, this is horrible. This is not that whiskey. This is lovely. This is that style of whiskey that is so quiet and subtle. It's one of those whiskies that you would pour for somebody if you're trying to get them into whiskey and they would just say, yeah, it just tastes like whiskey. They've just, it needs time. I'm certain that in time, this is going to just get better and better and better. Matt, thank you so much for your virtual dram. I couldn't have thought of a better way to say thank you than to sip some of this. This is really, really lovely. Okay, I'm getting a wax thing. A very light honey beeswax. It's this is winter release, but this is making me think of summer themes. The cereal note is there, but it's not like sometimes you get a kind of cereal note from that kind of young malt that you would get from young whiskies or new make or something. No, this doesn't taste youthful. This tastes like it's been in a nice, not too active cask, or the casks have not been overly powerful and have just let the whiskey sit. Much longer finish than you can reasonably expect for this style of whiskey. Keith Corbett saying Glencairn 10 tastes like fresh laundry on the line, gentle and lovely. Yeah, I can. This is kind of that style of whiskey, but I'm not getting the kind of on the nose. It was very floral, but on the palate, it's much more of a kind of honeysuckle very light honey, like a beeswaxy thing. And it ridiculously, I'm still tasting these things now. Metalman71's in, he's saying, good evening. Aqvavitae made it a little late tonight. Don't worry about it at all, Metalman. You're in time for the quiz. We'll be starting up the quiz soon. Spiritworks Tom, that's a new name. Spiritworks, good to see you. And just poured some of the Deanston 15 Sauterne. Tried that, it was very good. My God, it's good. A few drops of water and it's tamed and so approachable and indulgent. Loved that whiskey. In fact, I came home with a little bottle like this of the Sauterne Deanston, and I sat here one evening with it and just sipped it, and I said, I need to go back and get some of that. By the time I was heading back to Deanston, I think they had none in stock, and I think that it's since gone, the Sauterne. I think the last one I spotted was a brandy cask finish. I'm really enjoying this Daftmill. I cannot wait to see how this develops. I cannot wait. I don't think it's everyone's whiskey. Mickey is saying, Aqvavitae, would love to see you try the Glendalough Mizunara tonight. Wow. I wonder how it would go against this. Same ABV, right? I'll certainly, if I don't do it tonight, Mikey, I'll open and share it one night. I would like to share it with you. That would be cool. But you gave me such a generous sample that I know quite a few other people that would like to enjoy this. But I guess I don't need to take much to try it, right? The finish on this Daftmill is crazy. Very, very gentle, light pepper and spice. This is what we're talking about with Gregor earlier on, just the inability to label some of these sensations, these flavors. Really enjoyable. Toby Field is saying, one for Roy, why are there no Irish whiskies in your recycled reviews? That's a good point, Toby. I know what I did. I made a mistake, and I do make this mistake from time to time, is that when I'm visiting somebody's house, I'll sometimes take a bottle along and we share it and things like that. And when I leave, I just leave the bottle behind. And I think it's difficult to say, oh yeah, I do this thing on YouTube where I kind of really need the empty bottle, so I need to take that whiskey home. And a lot of kind of bottles don't make it to a recycled review. They might slip out that way or something. And that might have been what's happened to a couple of the Irish ones that I've got through. But I don't get through a lot of Irish whiskey, if I'm brutally honest. Pot still Irish whiskey, I'll get through. Do I have any other? I don't have any blends. I don't have any Irish blends at all. I'm struggling to think now, but I think every single bottle of Irish that I have, I'd be prepared to bet is single pot still Irish. There's a few people in here tonight, including Phil, that would probably give me trouble and pain for that. But there's just so many whiskies to try. Even if I just stuck to Scotland, I would struggle, right? There's just so much to try, and it's difficult to do it all. So thanks for that, Toby, for pointing out that I don't drink enough Irish whiskey. It's probably true. Daryl Calder, this looks like a new name in. He's saying, I like Irish whiskey as a drink, number 4, but not number 1. Is that 4th in your preference, I guess? JW Baseman has just bought me a dram. He said, love the recycled reviews, Roy. I belong to Southport. WC, where is WC? And do blind tasting on Twitter. My whiskey of the year was Loch Lomond Inchmurren, single cask. Wow. Again, it seems to be, there's just a bit of magic dust being sprinkled on the Loch Lomond distilleries right now between Glen Scotia and certainly Loch Lomond. The Inchmurrens have been getting a lot of positive praise and feedback as well. The ones I've tried have been very, very good. I haven't bought an Inchmurren yet. I think that it's kind of really, really nice to see, magical to see. There's somebody at the helm there, I hope it's Michael Henry, who's just serious and takes it serious, and he's dedicated and canny, and he's doing it right, and he's getting the positive feedback. Whiskey Club, WC Whiskey Club. Southport Whiskey Club. Sorry, John. Apologies. It's that my idiocy there. And he does blind tastings on Twitter. Yeah, that's a good way to share it. A definitely good way to share it. I enjoyed a blind tasting I did about a year and a half ago. I did a boutique whiskey company blind tasting on Twitter, and it was good fun and kind of seeing the buzz of everybody tasting the same things at the same time. I did feel a wee bit removed from it, but I think it's one of those things that the more you did, the more you would get into the rhythm of it and the more you would enjoy it. So try and get yourself involved in these tweet tastings and things that are done quite regularly. Pretty fantastic. Spiritworks Tom is saying there's a sample of Deanston 15 Sauterne on its way, along with the Kleinleach Signatory 22 refill sherry butt cask 8673. I know who you are now, Tom, of course. A damn fine pair indeed. I know who you are now. Of course I do. I know you from, I think it's Instagram, isn't it, Tom? I do. And we spoke quite recently. Thank you very, very much. Connor Strang is saying you should try and do something with Michael Henry. Do you know what? As it turns out, Connor, my wife's best friend's sister, my wife's best friend, her sister is best friends with the wife of Michael Henry. And when I was at the Glasgow Whisky Festival last year, I was talking to Michael for a little while, and I was just complimenting on what's happening at Loch Lomond. Ebon was there as well, fantastic guy from northern Spain. And I was talking to the two of them. And I said, I think we've got a mutual acquaintance. And he said, yeah, I know we have. So I was kind of spotted. So yeah, but I never talked. I didn't want to push. And it's very much my style. I wouldn't kind of, if there's a theme, if there's a way to bring value, if that people would enjoy it and think it was engaging and connect with it, then I would come up with something. And if there was a mutual benefit for somebody like a Michael Henry and Roy and the community, for everybody to get something out of it, I'd be absolutely up for it. But as soon as the benefit only lies with one party, it doesn't feel right for me. If it's only just about my channel, if it's only about Loch Lomond group, or if it's only about, if it's only about the community, I suppose that's fine. But I think you understand my point there, is that if there's a mutual thing, and if I can spin it in a way that everybody benefits out of it, then yeah, I think, but I get the feeling that that could be a possibility, and it's kind of been in the back of my mind, Connor. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, I'm going to do some tidying up before I go on and do this quiz. I'm probably going to give myself an impossible task to keep it under 2 hours. Again, how do I do this? How do I keep you guys hanging on all this time? If you're staying for the quiz, please don't be afraid of it. Just try it. Have a bit of fun with it. It's multiple choice. You keep your own scores. It's just for a bit of fun. You're just as likely to do as well as some of the well-versed, knowledgeable folks in here with it being multiple choice. Sometimes the questions are difficult, but they're not intended to be easy. It's intended to be kind of curious or interesting or pique some curiosity, or be some of the questions I try to make them have a point of interest behind them as well. So if you're ready for the quiz, let me know. I know that Jason Whiskey Wise will be teeing you all up for that. So please remember that my next live will not be on the 14th, which is a Thursday night vPub normal slot time. That is Valentine's night. So you can understand why I would not do a vPub on the 14th of February. But I also think it's appropriate for me to do it on the 17th of February, because that's a Sunday night. It's a good night for it, and it marks 2 years of this channel to the day. And I think it would be nice to get together at that point and just say thank you very, very much to all of you for all of the support and making the channel what it's grown to today. People talk about me doing a great job. I just did a job, the job that I do. The fact that you guys got on board is what made it a thing. It breathes and it lives, and we share whiskey together because you guys are here. And I'll never, ever cease to be amazed by that. Truly amazing thing. So let's see if I can get this quiz up and ready and just get it prepared. This did cut out because I've lost this this connection that was already teed up and ready. Okay, Yeah, it did. It did kick me out. So see if I can do a screen share again. So what I do is I run this from another machine so that I can easily switch backwards and forwards between the two. But what's happened there when I had that power outage or that blip earlier on is it severed the connection, and it's not in a hurry to reconnect again. So I do apologise while there's so many of you in, but I will have it up and running. I'll find a way to do it soon. Just reconnect again. You can chat amongst yourselves. Other people are in the lounge. Say hello to them while I try and work out. I think genuinely I had just a power outage or something, and obviously the batteries and the laptop has managed to keep the connection and everything going. The data dropped out maybe quickly as well, I'm not sure. Okay, good. We are back. And we should have a quiz screen coming up. There we go. We have it. Good. We're back and running. So like I say, this is multiple choice. You keep your own scores. At the halfway point, I'll kind of ask who is doing well and things like that and get some feedback from you. And at the end, obviously, we'll see who's scored what and kind of just that. But you only need to admit what you've scored if you really want to. If you think you've not scored very well and you don't want to talk about it, that's absolutely fine. But nobody really takes it that seriously. Nobody really cares. It's just a bit of fun. There are no prizes. It's just for a wee bit of interest and engagement at the end, the quiz at the end. Is there anything else I want to talk about? Not really. Nothing that won't keep till next time, I think. The coins. I did want to talk about the coins. Maybe I'll talk about the coins at the end. There was a leak. There's a leak on Instagram. I was trying to keep the new design secret and just kind of tease it a little bit. But the manufacturer, the guy who makes the coins out in the States, put it on his Instagram page. So if you want to see the Aqvavitae coins, the batch 2 coins that he's just shipped from the States in the last few days, go to Combat Bet on Instagram. And he's shared a picture of batch 2 coins. So it's just a different colour scheme, slightly different design on the back. Just kind of freshen up the design of batch 2. I'm always getting asked about coins. I bought far too few coins, but it was difficult for me to commit. At the time, there was a huge financial outlay there, of course, and you're worried about being able to sell them all. And they sold out about 3 weeks flat, and I've been saying sorry to people and keeping a waiting list ever since. This time I've gone for 500 coins. So if you've not bought a coin before, more or less, the coins between 251 and 499 are available. A lot of numbers have been snapped up already by the waiting list and by patrons, but there's lots and lots available, don't worry. If you've already bought a coin and you would like your number the same again, no problem. None of those original numbers from batch 1 will be sold until I'm absolutely, secure that you don't want that coin. And then I'll release it to someone else. But if you've previously bought a coin, that will be kept for you for a number of weeks until I'm secure that you don't want it. Good. So if you want to see the coin design, Combat Bet on Instagram, and there you can click like while you're there and leave a cheeky comment for Gene over at Combat Bet for leaking the design. Fortunately, he didn't leak a special coin I've done for patrons. That is still secret, and I hope that that coin stays quite personal and secret into the future. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this quiz, and everybody, good luck for the quiz going forward. Question 1. Which of these casks would you expect to be the largest? Now, I'm going to try and go through these quite quickly tonight because I'm running out of time, and obviously that'll help. That'll prevent people searching on Google. Which of these 3 would you expect to be the largest? A, European oak barrique. B, American oak butt. C, American oak hogshead. Which of those 3 would you expect to be the largest? A European oak barrique, an American oak butt, or an American oak hogshead? Let us know. see how this is coming in. It's quite interesting how people the quiz does divide, and the numbers drop off at the end. But 175 of you in just now, that's the most that we've ever had playing this quiz. It's going to be tough to see all the answers. But I've already clocked Welsh Torah there saying I like big putts. Lots of people saying B's and C's, B's and C's. There's a couple saying A as well. It's quite a divisive question. Interesting. Let's go and see which of those casks would be expected to be the largest. I say expect there because, of course, there are always exceptions and there are oddball sizes occasionally, but as a very general industry-wide term, the one that we would expect to be the largest is B, an American oak butt. A sherry butt doesn't need to be made from European oak. Of course, it can be made of American oak as well. It's less to do with the wood that it's made from and actually more to do with the style of barrel that it actually is. Question 2. So if you answer B for that instead of butt, tends to be the largest out of the 3. Give yourself a point as we move into question 2. And ask Diageo's distillery upgrades to boost whiskey tourism will include 4 distilleries: Colilla, Clynelish, Cardew, and which other? This is part of the big expansion program by Diageo. It's going to be centred around the huge Johnnie Walker experience in Edinburgh, we're told. And then 4 distilleries, giving us the kind of 4 corners of Johnnie Walker, will receive visitor experience upgrades to go along with £150 million of investment by Diageo. Which is the 4th of that 3? Colilla, Clynelish, Cardew, and A, Cragganmore, B, Dalwhinnie, C, Glenkinchie. What is the 4th? A, Cragganmore, B, Dalwhinnie, or C, Glenkinchie? What do we think the 4th one is? Still getting lemon, but it's still a sweet lemon. This is like lemon curd. Lemon, I've just put, there you go. Lemon curd. I'm happy with that now. A bit of ice and sugar there as well. The kind of baked goods things coming back at me again. Really bright, fresh dram. Winter release. This is easy summer whiskey. Okay, most people thinking C for it would be Glenkinchie then. Dylan thinks likely Dalwhinnie. Some people thinking B, Dalwhinnie. Nobody thinking. A couple of people thinking it's Cragganmore. Let's have a look. The 4th one of the 4 corners of the Johnnie Walker experience, investment, Colilla, Clynelish, Cardew, and C, Glenkinchie. Very attractive for them to do that because obviously Glenkinchie is just on the south side of Edinburgh there, so it's quite easy for them to get tourists out from the city centre by a quick dedicated bus shuttle transfer. That exists now, by the way. But then you go, it's the only one that doesn't begin with C, Colilla, Clynelish, Cardew, and Glenkinchie. Would have been interesting if they had done Cragganmore at all. They'd have been the 4 C's then. Okay, question 3. We love the pop of the cork, but the ROPP or rock screw cap is still most used. What does it stand for? Now, if you've ever seen me uncorking or opening one of the really old bottles, the kind of old timers, they tend to be all screw caps still. Blends and cheaper whiskies still use that ROPP screw cap, and that is the aluminium cap that bursts from, it leaves an aluminium collar behind. Once the seal is broken, it's clear that the seal is broken. But what I want to know is, despite us falling back into fashion for single malts and premium blends to a cork top, that's still the most widely used. What does it actually stand for, though? Does ROP, ROPP, is an acronym for roll on pilfer proof? Try saying that again, right? Roll on pilfer proof. Is it B, regulation overpull protection? Or is it C, remove only post purchase? Which of those 3 ridiculous, I'm going to leave those answers up there so you're not looking at me, you're looking at the answers. Which of those 3 ridiculous answers is correct? Is it roll on pilfer proof? Regulation overpull protection? Remove only post purchase? What do we think? Wow, all over the place again. Sherry Malt Drams is saying Y could be the right answer. Whiskey Bowman, A. Toby Field also A. Ross Fudd, A. Mead Mule is saying A. The Wonder Mirror is saying A. Park Padley A, Marku Makinen A, Macon, Sid Martin A. Lots of people thinking A. Let's have a look. It is, in fact, roll on, Pilfer Proof. The most difficult one for me to say, Pilfer Proof. That's what it stands for, ROPP. Now, from 1960, that was introduced, and it stayed probably the only one that they used up until the 80s. But then corks started to become more popular again in the late 80s. And with the majority of single malts that you see, I can't think of many Scotch single malts that wouldn't use a cork, actually. So there you go, as we move on to question 4. It's a pictorial question, so I'll leave this one up. And of course, I just want to know, what distillery are we looking at? What distillery is that? 163 of you participating for this quiz. Fantastic, guys. Thank you so much for hanging around. What is the distillery that you're looking at there? I'm going to give you the multiple choice now. See if you knew in advance. Is it Wild Turkey, A? Is it Heaven Hill, B? Or is it Buffalo Trace, C? A, Wild Turkey, B, Heaven Hill, C, Buffalo Trace. Just let you have a look at it there, but it's quite a distinctive building. If you know it, you know it. If you don't, you don't understand. Staff Mill, the spice on the finish is playing quite nicely now. It's becoming quite fruity on this finish. Spicy fruit. Much longer finish than it's got any right to have. Quite amazing. Okay. Lots of people thinking Heaven Hill. B. George McLeod thinks B. Chris Beaton, B. Matt Golcombe, B. Toby Field thinks B. Marku Makinen also thinks B. But I'm going to tell you all that this distillery that you're looking at here is, in fact, Buffalo Trace. So if you answered C for Buffalo Trace, give yourself a point as we move on to the halfway point. Which is a tricky question. I think it's a bit random and out there, and it's one of those ones that if you know it, you know it. If you don't, you don't. But we don't have many grain distillery questions in the quiz. This is a grain distillery question. So for question 5, I'm going to ask you, North British Distillery, which is a huge grain distillery, not the biggest, but it's very, very big, probably 80 million litres per year or something like that, 60 million litres, something. So the biggest malt distillery will be Glenlivet at some point this year, a theoretical capacity of 20 million. But North British is owned jointly by Edrington and who else? Who else owns North British with Edrington? Is it White and Mackay? Is it Pernod Ricard? Or is it Diageo? What do we think? North British is jointly owned by Edrington and A, White and Mackay, B, Pernod Ricard, or C, Diageo. 3 of the bigger boys, right? Alongside the other bigger boy, Edrington. Again, a really divisive one again. Lots of people all over. Quite interesting. I think there's 7 grain distilleries in Scotland now. Most of them pretty huge. Not all of them. I think Loch Lomond is maybe the smallest, or Starlaw. I'm not sure which. But yeah, not a consensus here either. I wonder if this quiz is a wee bit tricky tonight. But I'll just put you out your misery at question 5, and you can tell me how you are at the halfway point as well. North British is jointly owned by Edrington and Diageo. Edrington and Diageo are bedfellows at North British. So let's see where you are at the halfway point. Doing quite well. Who's on the 4s and the 5s out of 5? Or are you struggling? Are these questions a bit tricky? Phil Dwyer is answering correctly. Diageo, well done, Phil, and fantastic to see you in. I was very curious about your most recent review. You did a review of a single cask Halen Park at 67% ABV, the highest Scotch whiskies ABVs I've seen, actually. I've got a Glenrothes at 66.8, and I guess that's just filling the casks at still strength to get that. Okay, who's at 4 or 5 out of 5? Wow, a lot of you are on 4 out of 5. Fantastic. Andreas, Daniel Mass is on 5 out of 5. You start. Paul Gibbs is on 4 out of 5. Brilliant. Good work. Andres, 4 out of 5. Graham Stewart, hi Graham, 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 for Jason Coates, fantastic. Par on the front 9, you star. Vicky Thompson is on 4 out of 5, superb. Some good scores. Made me a 4 out of 5. Dallas Robertson is saying, yeah, you got one. Pretty good scores coming in. Peter Flop, good to see Peter. That looks like a new name. 4 out of 5 as well. And Toro said 4 out of 5. I'm winning it. If somebody's saying there's an echo, damn, I know what that is. There we go, that should be fixed now. Hopefully that's fixed the echo, and I apologise for that. It's because of the power cut that we had earlier on when I rebooted the call again. I then had 2 mics operating. Apologies. Mark is saying also, Roy, you have a bad echo. Hopefully it's fixed now. Okay. Let's go into question 6. Good question, this one. Which year saw the tightening? Steve A saying, yeah, that's fixed. Thank you very, very much. Which year saw the tightening of the legislation to ensure that Scotch whisky had to be matured in oak? So this was the year that they actually specified you can't just put it in any old wood. It has to actually be a cask made from oak. Was it A, 1948, B, 1966, C, 1990? A, 1948, B, 1966, or C, 1990? It's quite interesting that the Scotch whisky legislation has gone through lots of kind of refinement, let's say, modification, and they've played with it over time, most of the time, rightly so, to the point that it's the product that we enjoy today has been mapped by all these kind of political influences, by this legislation, by historical events, and it's really quite cool to see how whiskey has been mapped through the years. But the one I'm interested right now is, when did they decide, no, it can't be chestnut, can't be any other of these other woods, it's got to be oak? I think this is a banana skin. But the looks of the questions, sorry, the answers that are coming in so far, I think you guys might see it as a banana skin too. I'm going to put you out your misery quickly on this one for all those Googlers out there with the fast fingers. But the year that they actually decided it had to be oak was as recently as 1990. C, if you've answered C, give yourself a point and move on. Quite interesting that literally before that time, despite the fact that of course oak was by far the most popular maturation vessel that was used, but there were other things out there, and there's still rumours out there that there are chestnut casks maturing whiskey that can out there sitting in warehouses up and down that cannot be called whiskey. So yeah. Okay, quite recent, 1990, right? Let's move on to question 7. Glenmorangie, quite a recent topic. Glenmorangie's 10th private release, Alta, I think that's how to pronounce that, Alta, is made using unique what? So Alta is made using unique A, unique casks, B, unique yeast, or C, unique barley. Now, I can tell you what the Scots Gaelic for Alta actually is, if it helps you at all, but apparently Glenmorangie have decided to call this whiskey Wild, Scots Gaelic for wild. Alta, I think you pronounce it Alta rather than Alta. But yeah, it either means that the casks are made of wild oak, B, wild yeast, or C, wild barley. What do you think? I think I've given you one because it's in the news, and so many of you will know that in fact Glenmorangie's 10th private release, Alta, is made using unique yeast, wild yeast. B. So if you've said B, give yourself a point. This apparently is Bill Lumsden suggested that he actually found this yeast himself. He found it growing on ears of barley close to the distillery, and they were able to cultivate the yeast from that. Very interesting. Curious. At least this time they've put out a decent ABV. I've not tried it yet. I would be keen to try this one, actually, honestly. I don't really have much intelligence or much experience with how much yeast affects whiskey. I know there's lots of chatter about distillers versus brewers and things. And some people are pretty precious about their yeast and distilling in general. It doesn't seem like we are so much in the Scotch industry. So it'd be interesting to see what's happening there. Would like to try that one. Okay, question 8. I'm moving through this quite quickly, but I've already gone over 2 hours. The artwork on official bottlings of Oban 14 depict what kind of bird? Now, I'm talking about Oban 14, one of the original classic malts from way back in 1988. It's been around for a long time, and it's the same label that's still on there today. What does it depict, though? What kind of bird? Is it A, a seagull? Is it B, an eagle? Or is it C, a duck? A for seagull, B for eagle, or C, a duck? What can you find on Oban 14? Some of you will be actually sipping Oban 14 right now, perhaps. Is there a chance that that could be happening? You'll be able to just glance at your bottle and answer. Spiritworks Tom is saying, yes, yeast is highly important. Modern distilleries let on. You would think it'd be one of the easier things for them to change. On the finish of this daft mill, I'm getting a nice ginger now. The spice has become a kind of ginger prickle, like the spice or the prickle or the sensation that you would get if you've ever been in a Japanese restaurant and you've eaten the pickled ginger that they give you. It's quite a nice palate refresher or a mouth cleanser after you've eaten a lot of food in a Japanese. They take some of that pickled ginger, you know, the kind of, it's not spice, but there is a heat there, that kind of ginger heat. That's what the finish of this is like just now, like a pickled ginger note. Welsh Torres saying, I'd love to say duck, but it must be an eagle or some such. Let's have a wee look. The bird that's on the front of an Oban 14 bottle is actually a seagull. So if you've answered A, give yourself a point. 2 questions left to go. I found this super interesting question just because I'm into the history of it all, and this is really cool. And I'll give you some guidance on this one as I speak to you. But question 9 is, which distillery was used to test the first ever spirit safe in 1824? Now, of course, that was the first time. 1824 was the first full year of the new licensing and legislation that came in that year, allowing all these distilleries to become legal production facilities and actually be liable to the revenue, to the exchequer. So the spirit safe was introduced. But what I want to know is, at which distillery, what was it tested and implemented in first? You might be surprised. Is it, oh no, have I just given you the answer? Have I just given you a giveaway? I think I have. It was either A, Glenlivet, B, Port Ellen, or C, Aqvavitae. A, Glenlivet, B, Port Ellen, C, Aqvavitae. Sometimes I just hang on that button a wee bit too long and I give it away. Everybody's saying lol. Well, at least it means that nobody's going to end the quiz tonight on a donut. Nobody gets 0. Whiskey Throttle saying over 2 hours and I missed it all. Don't worry, Daniel. Good to see you, and my friend. Good to welcome you here. You'll be able to pick it up on the replay if you so desire. If you're in a comfortable spot and you have time in your hands, who knows? But interestingly, this is cool. In 1824, that first full year of the new licensing agreement, they trialled a spirit safe in Port Ellen that was actually invented by Aeneas Coffey. Yes, the same coffee that brought Scotland the very efficient column still. He was also the guy that invented the spirit safe. Quite amazing. And of course, as I've just given away to you, it was, it was Port Ellen. In 1824, the first spirit safe was trialled and installed at Port Ellen. Okay, last question. Is there anybody still in a full house? Now, I've given some help here. Peter Flop is on 7 out of 9. Damn good score. One question to go. Is there anybody sitting nicely as I have this last sip? Really glad to own this Daft Mill. Really glad. I think it's quite unique as well. Really enjoying the finish. As I've said a few times before, looking forward to seeing how this develops. Wow, Daniel Vermaas is sitting high on 9 out of 9. Fantastic, Daniel. Well done. Anybody else matching you in a 9 out of 9 I haven't spotted? I had lots of people telling me about the echo and the direct messages, and I missed them all. Apologies, everyone. The Party Source Reviews just tuned in. What are you drinking? I'm drinking this nice Daft Mill. You can see very, very little out the neck. First ever pour. But I'm enjoying it so far. John Paul Vanderhoven is saying 0 out of 9. I don't believe you. Okay, let's see. Jimmy Legacy saying pressure is on. Are you sitting? No, okay, he's complimenting Daniel Vermaas. Okay, for the last question, let's see if Daniel can keep it together for a full house and make it a 10 out of 10. I think this is a reasonable giveaway question. Let's have a wee look and see how you get on with it. It's a world whiskey question. Distillerio Molino del Arco, I think that's how you'd pronounce that, produces 10 million litres per annum and is located in either Spain, Mexico, or Portugal. A for Spain, B for Mexico, C for Portugal. Distillerio, maybe? Distillerio. I speak a wee bit of Spanish, but I'm a bit rubbish at the pronunciation. Distillerio Molino del Arco produces 10 million litres. Now, of that 10 million litres, 2 million litres of it is single malt. 2 million litres of malt whiskey and about 8 million litres of grain whiskey. Which country is it in, though? Ooh. Thought this would be a giveaway, but there's lots of mixed answers coming back. I'm obviously going to be hanging and looking for Daniel. Let's see what a Daniel comes in now. Of course, one of the privileges of scoring 10 out of 10, it's not really a prize, is that if you want, you can suggest some questions for the quiz, and I may or may not be able to use them going forward. I don't know if you'd call that a privilege or a punishment. I'm not seeing Daniel. I'm not seeing his answer. The Alchemist, yes, you are correct. That is the Deek Distillerías y Crianzas. Daniel Vermaas is shouted Spain. Yeah, but what is that? Is Spain A, B, or C, Daniel? Okay, let's put Daniel out his misery. Distillerio Molino del Arco is, in fact, of course, A for Spain. So it looks like Daniel has got a big 10 out of 10. Wow, Daniel, I think that's an amazing score because that was a tough quiz tonight. I wonder if there was a couple there you were fortunate with or you were comfortable with all those questions. Regardless, it's a fantastic, fantastic score. Well done, Daniel. 10 out of 10. If you want to work with me and send me any questions or contribute any questions to the quiz, I'm very happy to credit you on any that you do send across. Then yes, it'd be nice to hear from you, my friend. I know that we're in touch in other ways. Wonderful performance. Let's see who else got quite close. Sid Martin got 8 out of 10. Fantastic. Mark Padley, 7 out of 10. Good score. Jimmy Jazz, 3 out of 9. Not your night, Jimmy. It might be another time. No problem. Ross got 6. Arbaggy got 3 out of 5, 5 out of 5, and 8 out of 10 in the end. That's a good score. So you started off a wee bit weak in the first half, but kept it strong to the end. Yen Roger Christopherson said 10 out of 10, but I've been hearing double for the first half and seen double for the last. So It might be just 5. I'm so sorry for the sound issues tonight. I hate when that happens. It's just so easy to do because there's no, unless I wear earphones or headphones, obviously, and I have to listen to myself back. Yes. I know that theoretically there is the opportunity for people to Google these things and to beef up your scores and things by using Google and as a search and things. But it's like I said earlier, it's like golf. And if you do cheat, you only cheat yourself, and you give yourself an impossible thing to beat the next time round. Personally, I struggle to concentrate on the chat and whatever's happening in the video, let alone go out and find another browser tab or another device or something to go and search Google on. I couldn't do it. I can't multitask like that. Fantastic. Wonderful, guys. Thank you all so much for staying to the end and participating. Still 149 of you in. What a wonderful attendance tonight. I know for a fact by looking at the numbers as I've been speaking to you that it's been the busiest live ever. And I wonder sometimes, when I have these busy shows, I should probably bring my best content. And tonight, I don't think it's been that. It's been a very easy, relaxed thing for me tonight. I didn't have to present too much. There's always much more for me to talk about than I have time for. I've run over again. Thank you all so much for staying with me until the end. I want to thank my friends Graham the Whiskey Rev for moderating for me tonight, and the superstar that is Jason Whiskey Wise. He's here every single week. He really, and he does it for just the fun of it, just the passion, just for, as I say, the theme tonight, sharing whiskey. He's a really good guy, and I hope that you're all supporters of Jason Whiskey Wise as well. There's one guy I did want to shout out tonight just before I go. There's still 149 of you in, as I say. I hope that all of you are subscribed to Keith over at the Malted Man Cave in Ohio. He's very close now to hitting 1,000 subscribers. It helps creators a lot when they hit that magical 1,000 mark because it unlocks other tools and facilities, the ability to monetize the channel and things like that inside YouTube. They're taken seriously by YouTube once they've been there for that amount of time and they've put in the work to get 1,000 subs. If none of you are subscribed to Keith at Malted Man Cave, I guarantee you he won't let you down with his passion and the way he shares whiskey. He's just a super geek, very passionate. Really enjoys his whiskey. Everything he reviews has got that much left in the bottle, so you're speaking to somebody who's actually got to know the whiskey as well. So consider giving Keith a little subscription and a bit of your time as well, if you feel like it, because I think you would enjoy it, and I'd love to get him over 1,000 subs as well. Everybody's saying cheers. Thank you so much. I don't know if the Scotch for Dummies are live tonight, but I'm pretty certain they are. They always are on a Thursday night. I haven't been in touch with the rest of the guys as much as I should have been this week. It's a super busy time here, but the Scotch for Dummies will most certainly have a live later on. I will next see you. There's Jens has just sent in a virtual dram. Thank you so much. Look, there is a wee drip of the Daft Mill left for me to just pour, Jens, and say thank you so much. You were thinking you were having to get me to pour another dram there. I had a wee bit left. Thank you so much. No comment or anything from Jens. I would like you to tell me if I'm pronouncing your name properly. Is it Jens or Jens or what? And then Bill comes in with saying rebuild the cabinet, investment in future heels. Okay, I need to pour something for that, Bill. I need to. What will I pour? Let's pour something powerful and peaty. Let's pour one of Roy Evans's. Let's pour his Moignol Rosso. No, of course I'm not going to do that. Let's. I want to save, Mikey, if you're still in, I want to save this Glendalough, this Mizunara cask for a time when I can actually sit and give it my full attention. Let's open one of these really nice drams, maybe something with a bit of peat. There we go, a long roll. 16 single cask. 7 years in bourbon, 9 years in fresh Chardonnay. Wow, 54.3% from multi-haggis muncher Matthew. Let's pour a wee bit of this and say cheers to my friend Bill over in California. Bill is the guy who is in the video alongside me, the Magic of Isla video. Wonderful guy. I'm hoping that you and I can hook up this year. Thank you so much for all your support, my friend, and your generous virtual dram tonight. Slanchava. Mm. Oh, wow. That's a different animal. That tastes a lot older. What is that? What age is that? Ooh, 16 years. Wow, that's a lovely dram, Matthew. You star. Okay, yes. Let's wind things up. Let's say if somebody's asking how the giveaway went, well, Jeremy Sims, it went actually to Roy Evans. And Roy is actually somebody I know, but I hope you go back and see how I drew that name out. It was utterly fair. It was utterly straight as I could play it. A 1 in 855 chance of anybody winning it, and it went to a guy who lives about 6 or 8 miles, perhaps, from me. A short drive, let's say a 25-minute drive. Quite unbelievable. Jimmy Legacy, 954 subscribed to Man Cave now. Wow. So he's only got 46. So I hope he gets there soon. Listen, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you for enduring it, even though it's run over 2 hours. It will mean that the live chat and the replay takes a while to catch up and render now that it's run over 2 hours as well. Well, thank you so much. And I will see you roughly 2 weeks from now on Sunday the 17th, which is my 2-year anniversary. And there will be, I'll draw the giveaway for the Arran 14. Like I say, just in the comments below, type in Arran 14 and tell me what your favourite whiskey of 2018 was. If you've done that, you'll get entered into the draw, and I'll draw it on the 17th of February, and I'll also do another giveaway on the 17th of February to complete my celebratory giveaways for the month to celebrate 2 years for me and 10 years for Ralphie by giving away Ralphie's Whiskey of the Year. I would like to say thank you to everybody. And until next time, Slancheva.